Now this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, maybe even 12, I'll tell you how my entire legacy was destroyed, my ancestral home burnt to ruins, and the majority of my direct family murdered and in some way mentally destroyed to the point of non-existence, in a town called Winterfell.
I walked in the shadow of death, left the fear. This is a journey through the halls of hell.
Yes people, what is good? I am BA, back once again with another reaction in the Game of Thrones series. This is episode 7 of season 1 and it is called You Win or You Die. Last episode. I mean, to summarise, everything's going well in Essos and everything's going to shit in Westeros. We had Daenerys, his brother, finally die, a crown for the king and all of that over in Essos. Good to see. Now he's out of the picture over there, we can get some cool Daenerys storyline in. But of course over in Westeros, Ned's resting up because of his infected spear stab wound through the back of the leg. Tyrion has just won his freedom through trial by combat at the Eyrie, so he'll be hooking back up with his family soon. And if Catelyn wasn't provoking Tywin enough by capturing Tyrion, Ned has just denounced all the Mountain's lands and titles. On top of that, at the very end of the episode, Sansa said something which made Ned finally realise to check the book and realise Joffrey is clearly not Robert's son. And we all know this is going to be a rough episode. I'm expecting a rough episode, so I'm going to put myself in a brace position and get ready. This is episode 7, season 1, You Win or You Die. Let's check it out and see what's saying to it. I think it'd be cool to give one of the random cast who pop up during this intro, or crew even, their flowers every episode. So let's wait for someone and then just, big them up. Fucking Mark Huffman produced the fuck out of this shit. Let's go, Mark. I've been waiting for your name and now it's here. I'm ready. Had a friend talking to me the other day. He was like, when it comes to the producers, I like blah blah blah. I was like, mate, Mark fucking Huffman, get out of my house.
Poor Ned Stark. Brave man. Terrible judgment.
Tywin's not seeing the comedy in this, Jamie. You might want to be a bit more serious about this. Crazy fact about this scene, I'm sure a lot of hardcore fans know, but for those of you that don't, the actor playing Tywin Lannister right now, for budgetary reasons, it was easier for them to get a real stag that had just died and teach Charles Dance how to skin and strip a stag. So that is a real stag carcass in this scene, and that is Charles Dance legitimately disemboweling the motherfucker. Rest in peace to the stag. You will forever be immortalised on screen. I mean, granted, you're getting cut to pieces and shit, but it's a big role. It's, you get the first scene with Tywin Lannister.
You spend too much time worrying about what other people think of you.
I could care less what anyone thinks of me.
That is the most bullshit thing ever. Jamie cares a lot right now about what people think about him in certain regards.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
True, but also, I'm sure the sheep don't really give a fuck what the lion thinks about them either. That's a two-way street. I think the sheep are sitting in the field going like, bah, oh no, that lion doesn't like my wool, bah.
Every day that he remains a prisoner, the less our name commands respect.
Completely understandable from a power point of view, but it's just a bit disheartening that that's the way he sees Tyrion, and he's not prepared to do all this just because Tyrion's his son.
Your sister and all of her children, all of us dead, all of us rotting in the ground.
He must be great at parties.
Not your honour, but family.
Do you understand?
Considering he'd never butchered a stag before, Charles Dance took to that like a fucking serial killer. I'd have checked his hard drives after this performance.
You're blessed to belong to the most powerful family in the kingdoms. And you're still blessed with youth.
True, talk about like privilege in the modern era. You want to talk about a fucking head start in that era. Getting the training Jamie has had, getting the Lannister name, getting the Lannister power, that is as much of a head start in life as you could ever ask for in this world.
I need you to become the man you were always meant to be. Not tomorrow. Now.
Thinking about that speech, it is kind of a shame the way Jamie's a conflicted dude, because imagine if he didn't have that weird side to himself, the Cersei shit. I think he would have been one of the best Lannister children to continue on, Tywin's vision of what he wanted for their family. Just a fatally flawed character, unfortunately.
You're in pain.
That's quite a telling shot that Cersei came into view there and blotted out the sun.
Perhaps it's time to go home. The South doesn't seem to agree with you.
That's the most peaceful threat I've ever heard.
Has he done this before?
Jamie would have killed him.
Crazy when you think about that, you know, Ned's here to confront her about a huge lie, deceiving the king himself, but he still took a moment to be concerned about, you know, Robert hitting her.
My son saw you with him.
Do you love your children?
With all my heart.
No more than I love mine.
I don't give a fuck what speech Cersei's about to give. It's like, alright, cool, you got caught in the act by a child. At that point, you have multiple options. The very last option, and it shouldn't even enter your heads, is to kill the little guy. But that was the first choice. The first thing you said to Jamie was, he saw us, meaning kill him now.
On our wedding day in the Sept of Baelor, lean and fierce and black-bearded, it was the happiest moment of my life.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool, you know, it's fine. She's getting sentimental about the time when she did love Robert. Understandable. Once upon a time she did love Robert, and the fact that he was always spoken for from a dead person jaded her in life. Cool. Still doesn't justify fucking your brother. Like, none of this justifies it. I would have respected you more if you'd have came to this meeting and been like, what can I say, Ned? Need a bit of that bro dick. You know how it is. I'd have been like, first of all, that's fucking disgusting. But second of all, I really commend you on your frankly unnecessarily blunt honesty. Now please leave this castle.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.
People think this is such a legendary quote. I'm going to argue against that. I think that's a bit of a hokey quote. I think George R.R. Martin was at the height of his neckbeard mid-masturbation writing sessions when he wrote that line. I applicated those same rules to running across the motorway and dodging traffic when I was 7. And you know, you can say that to anything quite easily. If you play the game of not shitting yourself, you win. Or get covered in shit. Yeah, like no shit. Well, that's the name of the game, but that's not the point.
You be the man, and you be the woman.
Say what you want about his backstabbing treachery, but it was ahead of his time with gender norms. Seems to me like in this modern world, Peter Baelish is A-OK. Funnily enough, I do remember this scene. You know, there are scenes in this show that I have trouble recollecting, but this one really stands out, and I think it's just the colours chosen. In the set, you know, there's a lot of rich autumns going on, and then Baelish has got more, you know, organic, natural browns adding to the overall array of autumn colours we're seeing in the scene, and of course it's capped by the cherry on top, which is Rose's hair, which is of course another autumn colour. Just beautiful choices by the cinematographer and set designer all round, and I think that's why the scene stuck in my mind all these years later, you know, it's a really hard thing to achieve that combination of lighting and colour, but you know, this scene goes beyond the colours and the cinematography. It's a combinative effort. We can't rule out the great acting performances within it from Baelish, both laying out a bit of his personal history while instructing his employees on how to improve at their job performance, and his employees both practicing to get better at their job for him upon his instruction, while lending their ears to him and paying attention to his story of childhood woe. It's a beautiful scene which encompasses the acting performances of 3 savants. Savants! What a psychopathic smile that was. Normal human beings can't even do that shit, you know. It's fucking so strange. If you ever see someone smile like that in real life to a real thing you've said, fucking run.
Where I come from, we don't show mercy to criminals. Where I come from, if someone like you attacked a little lord...
But also, where you come from, people drown themselves in order to be declared king. Do you know how many microorganisms you guys will have had crawl up your urethras during those ceremonies, you absolutely infested, weird seaweed-smelling cave dwellers?
Theon Greyjoy. The lady is our guest.
Thought she was our prisoner.
Thank God this nice maester was there to interrupt what appeared to be the beginnings of another sexual assault in this show, and I understand it's a dark, horrible medieval time where this shit was probably far more prevalent, but it still doesn't make it enjoyable to watch ever.
There's things that sleep in the day and hunt at night.
Owls and shadow cats.
I'm not talking about owls.
Oh, I wish we got to see a shadow cat in this show. They keep talking about the fucking shadow cats. Show me a shadow cat.
Don't you miss girls?
I know it's a bit cruel due to how his story arc, ends up, but I think the best thing Sam could probably do if he wanted to be an aid to his fellow man is to just cut his dick off and throw it off the edge of the wall. I think that's Uncle Benjamin's horse, isn't it?
That's my Uncle Benjamin's horse.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this happening.
Where's my uncle?
Like he's gonna know. He's been in the fucking castle with you, mate.
Robert, we were hunting a bull.
Poor Renly's about to faint.
Time with you. Shown you how to be a man.
Poor Robert is fucked. He's so blind to the fact that that's not his actual son, but he still provides him the daily love that any father would their actual son.
Go on. You don't want to see this.
That was good acting by the child actor that plays Joffrey there, because usually Joffrey's so arrogant and shit like that, but one of the things that would shake a little evil shit like that out of their shell is if who they thought was their real father was passing away, and he just looked fucking shocked at what he was seeing, like his dad was invincible to him, and he's now having to sit and watch him die in front of him. Really good acting.
Stinks.
It's a grisly wound.
I drove my knife right through his brain. You ask him if I didn't. Ask him.
I like how even while he's dying, Ned gave the, okay, I will ask them stare, and Sir Barristan Selby and Lancel Lannister gave the, it's true, fucking drove it straight through his brain, head to the ground stare. Confirmed, Robert stabbed the shit out of that bull's head.
The House Baratheon. First of... You know how it goes. Fill in the damn titles.
Would be annoying having to start every single letter with all your titles every day. Jesus Christ, Daenerys must use about 20 pieces of paper before she gets to hello.
Rule in my stead. Until my son Joffrey comes of age.
If weird shit hadn't happened, how do you think that would have played out? If Ned had had a natural life as king until Joffrey was like 18 or whatever. I wonder how the world of Westeros would have been different with Ned ruling for a little 8 years or 6 years or whatever it was.
You'll rule now. You'll hate it worse than I did.
Oh, it's fucked. It's such a cool last act of Robert, because in his mind, he's lying there dying thinking, what is one thing I can do that isn't just me being a fuck up? And in his mind, he obviously knows that Ned is such an honourable, noble dude that he really would be a good king. But he's blind to the fact that Ned just doesn't have that sharp side to him. He doesn't have any thorns, and that will always cause vultures to circle around his head and plot.
Help him, Ned. Make him better than me.
Absolutely nothing you will ever be able to do will make Joffrey better than absolutely anyone.
Murdered by a pig.
Well, at least it was a fight within the same weight class.
He was reading from the wine. I failed him.
So Barristan Selby wasn't that paranoid about it being a poisoning by Lancel. He was just looking over at the wine drink and thinking that's a bit excessive.
Such a dutiful boy to make sure his grace did not lack refreshment.
Oh, Varys is so fucking smart. I love that he injected the seeds of doubt in both Ned and Barristan Selby's heads there. He did it in a really smart, above-board political way, but he knew exactly what he was doing, and I appreciate the fact he did that shit.
Unmake them. At once.
I'm afraid those birds have flown.
What a decent thing of Ned to do. Another thing I forget he does, but when he knows that Robert's passing and he is to be king, the first thing he wants is to protect the life of a baby at the other side of the world.
A royal pardon. You can go home now.
So fucked up. When you know the crime Jorah committed, the fact he even agreed to come and spy on Daenerys, I guess, is his fault. Of course he wanted the royal pardon to be able to return, but yeah, what he's been forced to do, he clearly doesn't enjoy doing. And of course, at this point, he is obviously already fallen in love with Daenerys.
I have a dry red from the arbor. Nectar of the gods. Let me give you a cask.
That assassin's putting on quite a good act. I believe him as just a nervous, honoured person meeting a queen.
Open it. The wine is for the Khaleesi, it's not for the likes of you. Open it.
But you gotta love the fact Jonah does this, even though he was spying. This is him throwing away the pardon, really, isn't it? He doesn't take it and go back to Westeros. This is him choosing a side right now.
Tell me that that is not the finest wine that has ever touched your tongue.
You first.
Jonah isn't falling for that bullshit. He really was good at his job. I fully believed he was about to take a little sip of that there right up until the moment he sprinted. I know he's about to be tortured until death, but he did a good attempted assassination, that guy.
You came to us, poachers, rapers, without friends or honour.
Not gonna lie, it's not the most inspirational speech I've heard.
For the honour of this house or that house.
Call me paranoid, guys, but I get the feeling a wildling has snuck into this ceremony.
You want to take your vow before a heart tree, as your uncle did?
Yes, my lord.
You found a werewood a mile north of the wall.
I never realised how out of place that was before, you know, when you think about it, because the wall is as north gets, and the Seven, the new modern religion, which is basically George R.R. Martin's placeholder for Christianity, has much more of an influence in the south of Westeros. So the fact that they're at the most northern north point, and only Jon stood up there to want to go and worship the old gods, tells me that most of these guys aren't from the north, and perhaps most of the criminals in this world are southerners, because I would assume that there's still a way larger following than just the Starks who worship the old gods in the north.
Rast to the rangers, Jon to the stewards, Rancer to the builder, Ichiel to the builder's god.
The fact they don't specify straight away he's going to be stewarding for Lord Mormont himself, though, I can understand why Jon would be so pissed, because he's like, mate, I'm the best fighter out of all these guys. If you want us to have a chance north of the wall, you bring your best fighters to be your rangers. Even if he's not the best tracker, that's fine. Get someone else who's good at tracking, follow the tracking guy, Jon will fight anybody around him. But when you think about it, to be a ranger in this world, you would have to have a really particular skill set. You'd have to have all the survival and hunting skills of a Bear Grylls, plus the battle and combat skills to fight packs of wildlings if you come across them. It's basically like a modern SAS to be a Night's Watch ranger.
Eastwatch, present yourself to Borkus when you arrive. Make no comment about his nose.
Oh, thank God I never got sent there. My man would be getting nothing but nose jokes.
Do you take me for a servant?
We took you for a man of the Night's Watch, but perhaps we were wrong in that.
You forget Jon's still very young at this time, but he reacted to that news very childishly. Even though I can completely understand why he'd be pissed off, he didn't take it stoically, did he?
At the end of the world, when no one to sing for but old men and little shits like you, I'll never see my family again. I'll never be inside a woman again.
I think that gave Jon a bit of perspective there.
Could you sing me a song, Pip? I'd like to hear a song.
Fuck off, Sam.
Now listen to me.
Jon is traumatized by the Pip story. He does have like the saddest story out of everybody here, because you know, some people left nobly. Someone like Sam's got quite a sad story, the fact his dad turned his back on him, and you know, the rest are just horrible criminals. But the fact that Pip was just a cool dude who liked his singing, and then got nonced and then falsely accused and had to run before he got his hands cut off, that's gotta be the most fucked reason anybody's at this wall.
I always wanted to be a wizard.
George R.R. Martin wept onto his typewriter as he vicariously wrote that line for Sam.
Give me an hour and I can put 100 swords at your command. And what should I do with 100 swords? Strike!
Oh my god, Renly is so fucking right here. Completely forget about this scene.
By the time Robert dies, it will be too late for the both of us.
He knows. I can't believe Renly understands Cersei better than Ned. That's crazy. He is 100% correct right now. If Ned had to just listened to Renly right now, the whole show would be so different. It's what I was saying a few episodes ago. Just go wipe out all the Lannisters while you can.
We all know what Stannis is. He inspires no love or loyalty. He's not a king.
Oh, we got a Stannis name check there. I will see you in season 2, my friend.
He's a good soldier. Everyone knows that. So was Robert. Do you still believe good soldiers make good kings?
A very good point. I feel like the best king would probably have seen both sides. So someone who was a soldier, but not like a brutish one like Robert. One who was a thinking man soldier, strategic, tactical. Someone who would move up from being a soldier to being a commander because his strategy was so good, etc. That would make a very good king. At least someone who would be able to defend the kingdom from enemies, but also be savvy enough to spot potential political enemies who use words instead of weapons.
Only Stannis himself.
Yes, my lord.
Oh, fuck off, Baelish. What's funny is, the hand of the kingpin is supposed to be a hand with a sword coming down, but it actually mimics the fact that Ned is walking with a cane just now, so it's almost like taking the piss out of his ailment. It's like if Jesus was wearing a cross.
He is the rightful heir. Nothing can change that.
And he cannot take the throne without your help. You would be wise to deny it to him.
Some people think Stannis would have been a really good king. I think there's things he would have done well, but I also think he would have been fucking really ruthless in other ways. I feel like he's almost a Tywin with a more maniacal side to him, which is quite a dangerous combination to rule. Yes, he's a good leader, but also he's a wild card.
Cause problems when he comes into his throne. We simply reveal his little secret and seat Lord Renly there instead.
Notice Baelish used "we" in every single sentence there.
What you suggest is treason.
Only if we lose.
It's fucking weird that treason works that way. Like, technically, I could go down to Buckingham Palace right now and start a fight with the king and his guards. But if I somehow managed to beat the king, all the palace guards, and then all the police and military response units, I could be like, look, see, I'm the new king. I ain't committed treason. You guys have committed treason on me now. You're all under arrest. New king's rules. I would never do that. So, you know, take the heavy bag down, Charles. There's paranoia and then there's ridiculousness.
You know it has to be done. But it's not honorable, so the words stick in your throat.
Oh, shut up, Baelish. You're about to do the most rat shit ever, either this or the next episode.
Hear my words and bear witness to my vow.
Even that, so creative. Now, of course, talking treason shit is a large part of the fantasy genre as a whole, so George R.R. Martin didn't invent that, but the fact it's a specific, you know, sort of willow tree with a face and the sap bleeds from the eyes, and that's the religious tree that they pray to for the old god. Like, he added a whole bunch of shit to a tree. And again, just levels of world building that makes this place feel fully immersive.
Gods from the realm of men. I pledge my life.
Again, aside from the graffiti, one little twat from Winterfell would have came out to this religious tree and just drawn a penis on the cheek. Why are we acting like they wouldn't have? Theon would have done it day one. And this isn't even the Winterfell religious tree, this is the one up at the Night's Watch. You telling me the criminals wouldn't graffiti that shit? There'd be schematics on ways to escape Castle Black graffitied onto it.
When the Khalasar rides, he'll be leashed to a saddle and forced to run behind the horses for as long as he can.
It's an interesting punishment. I don't think it would be the most pain-inducing though. It sounds like it's just an exhausting one. And you know, if you're gonna just exhaust yourself and then die, that's much better than being like tortured to death, no? Seems like quite a lenient punishment for the man that was about to assassinate a Khaleesi.
He will not have my son.
He will not have you either, Khaleesi.
Yeah, this whole episode's about Jorah just fully planting his flag in the sand in Team Daenerys' corner, isn't it? You are fucking dead, my friend. And look, at this point, all the women watching this show completely forgot about his earlier atrocities and are like, oh, he's the ultimate husband, is he? Even this, do you know what I mean? This begins to segue into a giant speech about megalomaniac levels of world domination. It's not the most romantic, it's really not. I mean, if you replaced Khal Drogo right now with Adolf Hitler, the speech would still be the same, but you guys wouldn't be cheering along, would you? If it was, I don't know, Franz or whatever fucking Hitler's wife's name was sitting there going, oh no. Oh, that Adolf is so romantic. Could have ended that speech with a Zig Heil would not have been out of place.
King Robert is gone. The gods give him rest.
And this is the point where everything falls to shit.
Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and protector of the realm.
It makes my stomach turn even hearing Joffrey get those titles.
Today I shall accept oaths of fealty from my loyal counselors.
What a little shit.
King Robert's seal. Unbroken.
Why did he say unbroken and then just slide it off? If you can just slide it off, it doesn't mean shit.
Is this meant to be your shield, Lord Stark? A piece of paper.
Cannot believe she just does that so casually.
Bend the knee and swear loyalty to my son, and we shall allow you to live out your days in the grey waste you call home.
Stop firing unnecessary shots at Winterfell, Cersei. Jesus Christ, the grey waste.
I want no bloodshed. Tell your men to lay down their swords.
Here comes the fucking giant double cross. Oh, this is horrible.
I did warn you not to trust me.
Oh, you absolute rat. Oh my god, Peter Baelish, you absolute slappable troglodyte. I fucking hate you on levels that are unquantifiable by the current human brain, and I would need to evolve to the next level and become a supreme being in order to correctly illustrate how much of a douche nozzle you are throughout this show. Okay, and that was episode 7 of season 1 of Game of Thrones, You Win or You Die, and I will be back in just a minute with my thoughts on that. So, You Win or You Die, what did I think of that? Shit, I knew this episode was leading up to this moment, and I hate this moment. This episode was great, but the content's shit. Didn't like it at all, hated it. This is the last moments of peace when everything was cool, Robert was alive, Ned wasn't getting a knife put to his neck by Peter Baelish. Oh man, just everything goes horrible in this episode, and it's so sad to see. The first thing I want to bring up actually is, I forgot that scene when Renly approached Ned, saying like, look, I can have 100 blades for you, we need to round up the Lannisters right now and fucking just kill them all. Now, it's ruthless, but that would have saved everyone. The entirety of Westeros, in fact, would have been a better place if Ned had just listened to Renly and decided to be a little bit ruthless in that moment. And the Essos storyline this episode, I guess you could class it as an assassination attempt storyline, but we knew that was, you know, in the works. Robert had the wheels turning on that, and Varys couldn't take it back because he'd already sent out the Ravens. But what it was really about was Jorah Mormont becoming more prominent and also showing that at this point he is 100% loyal to Daenerys regardless of whether or not he was initially sent there to spy on her. And it's quite a turnaround when you think about it, because Varys must have got the initial intelligence in order to commit that act by either Jorah sending intel back or the guy we saw him communicating with underneath the keep in King's Landing, but I swear that guy wasn't trying to get Daenerys killed. Regardless, Jorah thwarted the poisoning attempt and, like I said, thus planted his flag in the sand. He is obviously in love with Daenerys and backs her to be a very good ruler, and he's 100% devoted and loyal to her already at this point, so he made sure she didn't get poisoned. The moment when Drogo comes into the tent and just stares down the guy that tried to assassinate her as well, such a great intimidating moment, and it was heightened by the fact they had cast a very short, physically non-imposing guy to be the assassin. So when Jason Momoa walks in the room, built like a brick shithouse, shredded up, and just stands over him and growls, you genuinely feel the terror that little shit would have felt in that moment. And the final scene in this episode just absolutely sucked. Every part of it. There was so much betrayal, not just Cersei tearing up the letter, but the Kingsguard who'd promised Ned Stark they would have his back, and then just turning around and stabbing all the Northmen who were his direct bodyguards, and then putting their spears to him, and then on top of that, Baelish, unnecessary, he's not even a soldier, just to let us know how much of a rat he is, comes in with a little dagger to Ned's neck as a final insult to injury. And much respect to Barristan Selby for at first following his order and walking towards Ned, but when Ned ordered his own guards not to attack Barristan Selby, I think Barristan knew that Ned was telling the truth, and this is all some messed up shit. And in that moment it must have really torn him apart, because his whole life he's been an honourable, noble, loyal Kingsguard, and that's his job. And imagine what a moral fucked up situation it must be for an individual when your own king is evil and yet you're sworn to these oaths as a member of the King's Guard. And this is the beginning of the King Joffrey shit show. Everything gets horrific from here on out for a good couple of seasons, so yeah, I'm just gonna buckle up and brace myself and think happy thoughts. And all joking aside, I'm looking forward to next week's episode. If you've liked this video, click like, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this, ring the bell to be notified as to when they drop. If there's anything you want to talk about, comment down below and share this around to anyone you think might appreciate it or want to watch these reactions along with us. My Patreon link is down in the description. If you become a patron, you get access to my blog, you get access to these reactions I put on YouTube a month and a half in advance, and you also get access to full-length versions of everything I react to. So consider becoming a patron, it helps me and my channel out so much. And until next time, I have been BA, peace.